Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmasvarupine avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. Namaskar to all of you. Welcome to the study of Bhagavad Gita. Today we are studying the 15th verse in the second chapter. Before going into the proper Bhagavad Gita, we shall chant one of the verses from the meditation of Bhagavad Gita. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramarthanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Now the verse 15 will be displayed on the screen and you can chant with me from the second chapter, the 15th verse, and the simple meaning also is given there. Please repeat it after me. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. The Blessed Lord said to Arjuna, Yam hina vyatayante the Yam hina vyatayante te Purusham Purusharshabha Purusham Purusharshabha Samadhukka Sukham Dhiram Samadhukka Sukham Dhiram Somrutatvaya Kalpate Somrutatvaya Kalpate. The simple meaning of this verse is, O Arjuna, that person whom these sense organs and the sense objects do not disturb, who is equanimous in pain and pleasure, and who is wise, that is man of wisdom, alone becomes fit for immortality. So Shri Krishna says this faculty of endurance, of inner strength, which is called titiksha, is very, very important here. From the last verse, Krishna is telling that we have to learn to bear the dualities of this world. The nature will bring a lot of dualities to us. So we will see the same teaching of Krishna in this 15th verse from different angle, from different perspective, so that we can go deeper into the subject and understand it and bring it to our life. The important thing is we have to practice in our life. So that is more important. Now, going to the deeper knowledge of this verse, Yam hina vyatayante te purusham purusharshabha Samadukha Sukham Dhiram Somradatvaya Kalpate. He or she who is not thrown down by any of these experiences, happiness and miseries, the dualities, success and failures, heat and cold. Samadukha Sukham Dhiram, the courageous one, who is even-minded in dukkha, whether he gets sorrow, adversities in life, grief, or sukha or happiness. So if he maintains his calm, composure, even-mindedness in any of the situation, whether it's adverse or good situation, happy situation, somrutatvaya kalpate, that person alone can achieve immortality. What is this immortality? He can win death, fear of death. We are all now in that mode because of this pandemic. So here this verse will help us how to overcome that fear. What are the ways by which we can keep our mind calm and cool. How are we to get immortality? Krishna is telling how we can overcome the fear of death. How can not only fear of death, death itself. So he or she can realize the Purusha. Here, Purusharshava it is called. Purusham Purusharshava. Purusha means here Atman, the Lord who is within us. The Lord, the Atman which is immortal. This is a tremendous capacity. Even long back in India, when they were deep in the struggle for freedom against the Britishers, political struggle for independence, we have seen that some of the leaders had the capacity to withstand pressures from outside. They didn't break down, they stood it. It is said that we are losing it, now we have to regain it once again. But nowadays we don't find such strength, the inner strength whereby even they were not realized soul, but the freedom fighters, they withstood the troubles given by the tortures given by the rulers. Even here in South Africa, we see that the great Nelson Mandela, how much he had to undergo pain, how much of torture from the apartheid regime. He had to stay in solitary confinement for more than 27 years. Such bad condition, such dingy condition. But he never broke down. He survived because of the inner endurance and strength. So even the men of the world who were fighting the freedom in those days had that character to withstand all the difficulties. But we now in the present age are losing it. So we have to gain it. So it is sad that we are losing it. Now we have to regain it once again. Even the smallest of the difficulties in life, we break down. You can see the present day youth, even the smallest failures, they go and commit suicide. So such is the weakness of the mind. So now with the help of this Krishna's teaching, we can make our mind strong. Now, one of the greatest sadhus, a saint, Revered Ranganathanandaji Maharaj, remembers one of the Indian freedom fighters from Gujarat, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, was arguing in a court. Revered Ranganathanandaji Maharaj is giving this example. So this great freedom fighter, he was called the Iron Man. The name suits him, isn't it? They have made a very big statue. In India, if you go, you can see that statue of freedom. Man of Iron he was called. So you can see really the name suits him. He was a man of character. When this great freedom fighter Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was arguing a case in the court, he was a lawyer. So he was arguing a case in the court. A man delivered a telegram to him. So in those days it was telegram. Nowadays the telegram concept is gone. So any fast news, quick news, then it would be telegram. So a telegram, while he was in the court and he was arguing in the court, he got a telegram. He read that, he just read it and put it in his pocket, continued his argument. And then after all the argument was done, the judge, after the whole case was closed there, the judge asked him, what was the telegram? He opened it and read it. What is that? His wife had passed away. The judge was surprised. There was not even a change in his look and face. How could you face that? The person whom you loved so much, your wife, she has passed away. You were so given to your duty that you didn't even move out. You could have taken the permission in between and gone. And what was the great reply of that great freedom fighter? He told, my wife is gone now. I cannot bring her back, I know that. But I can save the person here. The person who is to be punished here by you, my Lord, the judge, who has been wrongly put into the punishment mode. So there I cannot save my wife. But by performing my duty properly here, I can save this person, the client, who is wrongly would be put into gallows or something like that. So that was his reply. So people were amazed at the strength of his mind. How could he withstand that great shock? He was much more given to his duty to save his client's life. See the argument he told. I know that my wife is dead now. I cannot bring her back. I have to go there and I can finish all the duties that is to be done to my wife there. But it is important that I have to save the life of this person, the client, another freedom fighter, was wrongly would be punished by the British then. So he saved him and then went back and did all the last rites of his wife. So that is character. That is why it was not just he was given the name Iron Man. Somebody praised him like that. No, you can see his character, the stuff inside him. That's what the example at the ordinary level if you can give. Otherwise at the spiritual level, if you tell that you should be not disturbed by adversities, you cannot understand. Should be some example should be given. That too, it is not something from long back of 500, 600 years history. They lived here just some 50, 60 years back in India, in Gujarat, the great freedom fighter of Gujarat, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So that is his life. So that he withstood that shock calmly. It is not for want of love. Love was there for his wife. But something more was there, the capacity to withstand the ups and downs of the life. A good deal of courage is needed to go beyond the pulse of the physical system, nervous system, psychic system. That's why Lord Krishna is telling, if you have to realize Atman, if you have to go beyond death, we need strength like that, mental strength where you can, whether it is happiness, whether it is sorrow, your mind should be calm. It should not be disturbed by either of them, to go beyond them. So by examples we can understand better. A good deal of courage, psychic system, psychic strength, physical strength, everything, nervous system, everything should be strong. So only then you can realize the Atman that is beyond all this. That strength we have to develop from now onwards. That is why high character strength is necessary for spiritual development. One has to cultivate that strength which one has by oneself. It is already there in us and nobody else can do that for you. We have to cultivate for ourselves and it is within us. That's more important. No one can purchase it for money. You cannot get in the malls or you cannot order the Amazon to get it or Flipkart to get it. You have to earn it by your hard work. So no money can purchase it. The strong character, one has to cultivate that strength. You have to regularly to build it up in yourself by yourself. Other people can help you, guide you, but the work is your own. This human life, this packet of psychophysical energy, we have to cultivate in the right way so that the best harvest will come out of it. And the highest harvest is realizing one's own true nature as the immortal self, that is Atman, to know our real nature, going beyond death, to conquer everything, all miseries. That will be the result you are going to get by this effort you put. If you cultivate in the right way, so the best harvest can come out of it. So Revered Ranganathanandaji Maharaj gives the example that Sri Ramakrishna used to sing a song, a Bengali song, by the Bengali saint Ramaprasad. The beginning of that song is, O mind, you do not know the art of farming. Farming, taking the examples of the farmers. O mind, he is telling his own mind. We have to tell it to our mind. You do not know how to farm your mind. There, the farmer will know how to farm the field, till the field and make it ready for the crop. But you, O mind, you do not know how to cultivate your mind. So that is what Ramaprasad tells. What is that Bengali song? Re mon tumi krishi ka janona. So you do not know how to cultivate your mind. Such rich field of human life is lying fallow. Such wonderful thing is just wasted. The mind has so much of strength within, and you are not farming it properly, and it is being wasted, which if cultivated would have given the harvest of gold, or even costlier than that, the Atman, the knowledge. You can conquer death. So cultivate that. That's what Revered Ranganathanandaji Maharaj is giving through examples through this verse. So that we can cultivate strong mind, we have to do that. We should be up and doing. So the same verse can be seen through different perspective, different angle, because we have to understand this through different ways and make it more practical. So for some people, something may click, some angle may help. For others, another angle may help. So I am going to explain the same verse through different angle, through different people's idea. So one may click and it may help you. To some others, something else may click. So let us go through the perspective, the angle from which this same verse is seen through another way. Okay? So yam hinam vyatayante te purusham purusharshava samadukkas sukham dhiram somratatvaya kalpate. That man, O the best of men, is fitted for immortality, whom these do not torment, the good and the bad, the happiness and the sorrow, heat and cold, all those things will not torment him, who is balanced in pain and pleasure and steadfast. Only he can get that immortality. He is fit to get immortality, conquer death. So the indweller. Now we have to go into the depth of this meaning which is given here. Purusham. Now the Atman is given another name here. It's not another name, that is the original thing, Purusha. It's why Ramachandra and other Krishna and other gods, they are called Purushottama. So Purusha is the one. We think that Purusha means men. No. Purusha means not men, it is the Atman. How does that word come from? It is the indweller in the Puri, in the body, looked upon as a city. It's called Purusha. Now this body of ours, it is compared to a city. Pura means city or a town. Pure Shete, one who resides in this town, in this city, is called Pure Shete. Pura means town, Shete means one who resides. He is called Purusha. Simply if you have some big moustache and beard and other things, you are not Purusha. We are all, though we are male beings and female beings, all in all of the male and female both, it is that one Purusha, the Atman, who is residing inside. So Purusha means not a man or something like that. Even in Viveka Chudamani I was explaining about when Viprata or that Pumstvam, not Viprata, sorry, Pumstvam. It's masculine nature. Purushatva means it is not man. It is the one who is present inside. Purusha means the Lord, the Atman who is present in our heart. So residing in this town, Pura or Pure Shete iti Purushaha. So even in the women, it is the same Purusha within. In all the living beings, it's the same Purusha who is present. But in human beings, they call it Purusha. Because the men are little more leaning towards Purusha, they are called Purusha. They get the name Purusha. Because the women are generally, this is a general statement, they are leaning more towards Prakriti, they are called women, that's all. But in both of them, it is the same Purusha. That's why here, Purusha Atman, the one who is residing in us. So I will tell you to make it more clearer, I will tell you one beautiful story from the life of Mirabai. Mirabai had come to Vrindavan. She came to know that one of the disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying there in Vrindavan. So she wanted to meet the great devotee of Lord Krishna, and most of them were practicing the Madhura Bhava. Madhura Bhava is they accept themselves, they develop themselves the attitude of a female, a woman, and they will consider Lord Krishna as the husband. Even though that saint has a body of a man, he will consider himself as a woman, because that's true, we are Prakritis. And Lord Krishna as the only Purusha. So they will have established that relationship like the Lord Krishna is the husband and we are the wife, the Prakriti. So with that Madhura Bhava, as if he is my lover. So in that way they proceed towards the God. God as our lover. That is called Madhura Bhava. So through that they realize God in that way. There are so many ways of establishing relationship, like God is my father, God is my mother, God is my master, I am the servant, God is my friend, I am his friend. So these are all different bhavas. But this is one of the highest bhavas, that is a Madhura Bhava, in which we consider ourselves the women. It's natural for women because they have a body of the women. But for man, you have to imagine that. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and followers used to practice that, and also tell human beings also can do, men can also do that practice, because we are all Prakritis. So now this great disciple was there, Goswami in Vrindavan, and this mother Mirabai wanted to come and meet him. So he was undergoing the vrata, he was following brahmacharya, strict celibacy. So when they are celibates and they are following strict celibacy, they will not even see the face of the women. They will not even come out to see women. So now that saint told, I can't see women. So what was the reply of Mirabai at that time? She has come to see, had the darshan of that great saint. He is telling that I am a Purusha, I am a man, so I cannot see a woman because I am practicing brahmacharya. I can't see a woman. Then what was the reply from outside? His kutir, from that ashrama, she was outside, standing outside. She replied, if there is any Purusha, any man, other than Lord Krishna in Vrindavan, I have to meet him. That was the reply. She replied it loudly. If there is any man, Purusha, other than Lord Krishna in Vrindavan, I have to meet him. That means there is no other person, no other man in reality, Purusha, that's Purusha exactly. Purusha other than Lord Krishna, that is the Atman, the God. So you are all Prakritis, you are all nature, belong to the nature only you have in it. Until you realize you are just Prakriti. After only you have realized that Lord or Krishna or whatever, the Purusha which is in you, the Atman which is in you, then only you become real Purusha. So she told, if there is any other Purusha other than Krishna in Vrindavan, I have to see him. That was the reply of Mirabai. So now you can get an idea. Who is Purusha? Pureshete. One who resides in this town called body is called Purusha. And what is that? The Atman, the Lord, Parabrahman. So that is Purusha. So here Krishna is addressing in this shloka, Purusham Purusharshava. Yamhinam Vyatayante te Purusham Purusharshava. So that is the meaning of Purusha. So the indweller in the Puri, that is the town, in the body looked upon as a city, is called Purusha. Pleasure and pain occur inevitably in the body because of the contact of the senses, because it is identifying with this nature, with the senses and the sense objects. They are all belonging to the nature. So anybody identifying themselves with this nature, with these senses, they have to undergo this pain and pleasure. Pain and pleasure occur inevitably Nobody can avoid it until unless you go and identify yourself with the Purusha. So if you identify with the sense objects, inevitable you have to undergo pain. He who identifies himself with the body is bound to be grieved. He will have pain. But his mind does not waver. But that person's mind does not waver. One who gets fixed in the self, in the Atman who is within you, the Purusha who is within you. You have to enter this town. It is not yours, it's a town. You are really that Atman, the Lord who is the Krishna, Rama or Shiva, whatever you may call. You are that. So go and identify with that, not with this town outside. It's temporary. So that's what Lord Krishna is telling. So that's why if you identify with this town, outside town, that is this body, the senses and the sense objects, you are bound to get difficulties, miseries and the small pleasures too. But if you identify with the self, his mind does not waver, who gets fixed in the self, and he is all calmness. Then you will get real equanimity. That means any pleasure or pain or success or loss will not disturb you. You will be always equanimous, it will not disturb you. Remaining unruffled by the evanescent events reveals the clarity of his understanding. He therefore, that knowledge of Atman will help you to make you equanimous. Equanimity will be established. He therefore becomes the man of steady wisdom. He is thus fit for immortality. So now you can go beyond death, you can control death. That is the meaning by this verse what Krishna is trying to. So I explained through the idea of Purusha. To know what is that Purusha Atman in your own body, it is there. So you got a different inkling of that Atman whom we have to identify with. We will see from another perspective. We will try to study through another perspective about the same verse. And what is that perspective which we want to see? Now, an extroverted person focuses mainly on the sense organs and their contacts with the senses, sense objects. He develops endless desires for acquisition and enjoyments of the world. These unfulfilled desires cause him mental agitation. He suffers sorrow in life, whereas an introverted person focuses his attention more on the inner self than the outer objects and remains determined in his purpose to reach the self. He moves steadfastly on the path of self-realization, engrossed as he is in the higher being. The sense objects do not affect him because he is not bothered about the body and sense objects, about the joys of the senses. So they cannot touch him. Why? He is going towards that Purusha, the higher self. He remains balanced. That's why he remains calm, composed, balanced in pain and pleasure. Such a person alone qualifies to get immortality, the ultimate state of self-realization or God-realization. Ete means these. It refers to the sense contacts mentioned in the previous verse. Matra sprashastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkadaha. So if you allow the senses to get in contact with the nature, then you will get into this heat and cold and these dualities and you will be in trouble. So you cannot overcome that. So we have learnt it in the earlier this thing, we went into the detail. So ete means these. It refers to the sense contact mentioned in the previous verse. They do not afflict an introvert pursuing the self. They do not disturb his mental equanimity. He remains balanced in pain and pleasure. This does not mean he is devoid of pain and pleasure. He will get all the things. He will get all the difficulties and pleasures too. But because now he is moving towards the self, he is knowing about the self, he is given his identity with this contact of the senses, so he is not disturbed by that. Though he gets the difficulty, he is not touched by that. He experiences all the difficulties and joys like others, but with one difference. What is that difference? Others get afflicted by these experiences, pain and sorrow, drown them in dejection. Pleasure and joy excite them with elation, but an introvert, steadfast in the path of truth, who identifies himself with Atman, who wants to go and realize Atman, so his mental equipoise maintained. He maintains his mental equipoise in and through his experiences of pain and pleasure, sorrow and joy. A mind balanced in the variety of experiences in the world, so that mind which is balanced in this way is only qualified for meditation upon the self. You get the fitness now. The final gateway to immortality. So how nicely we get that. So you have to keep your mind strong. It should not be disturbed by these dualities. That is what it is told here. Now, to understand it in a better way, now we shall see immortality means deathlessness. It means birthless also. The state of self-realization, the ultimate experience of Godhead. Krishna draws attention to that state of absolute perfection by addressing Arjuna as Purusharshava. Rishabha means bull. Purusha means the best among the bulls. Bull among men. So Purusharshava means bull among men. In India, the bull is considered cow and the bull is considered sacred. Sacredness is attributed to it because it lives the lofty principle of service and sacrifice. Arjuna followed the same principle in his life due to his lifelong service and sacrifice. The people of his time acclaimed him as the best among men, being one of the best among mankind. He qualifies to rise above the world of pleasure and pain and gain the immortal self. So if we can develop this attitude of sacrifice and service and go beyond these senses, then we will also be getting ready for the higher thing, that is self-realization, going beyond the fear of death and controlling death, overcoming death, that is immortality, eternal freedom. So what a wonderful way Krishna is trying to impress this upon us. So many things we came to learn today. Still going forward, we will see what Swami Vivekananda has to tell about this. So in the complete works of Swami Vivekananda, he tells us how we can maintain this. Now Krishna is telling our mind should be in equanimity. It should maintain its equanimity, whether pain or pleasure or any difficulties, it should not be disturbed. So now how to get that? Who will get that? How to get that equanimity of mind? What is the use of that equanimity of mind? So Swami Vivekananda will very logically, scientifically explain it to us. Now, in a different way, very beautifully, Swami Vivekananda will take that into that calmness and quietness and equanimity, equipoise of the mind. How does he take it? We shall see. So beautifully he will take us. Swami Vivekananda is telling, this world is like a dog's curly tail, and people have been striving to straighten it. All of us are trying to straighten the dog's curly tail, means we want to set right this world. All of us want to make this world right. So many faults in the world. The world is full of so many problems. So I am here to set right all the problems. I want to correct this world. I will change this world. I will revolutionize this world. So that's our attitude. But Vivekananda is telling this world is like a dog's curly tail. And people have been striving to straighten the dog's curly tail for many, many years. But will it? Until you have put a rod or something to straighten that, it will be straight. Once you removed it, again the tail curls up. Like this world too, you set the problem here, you set that person there. For a time being it will be okay. Then it again goes back to the same wrong curly tail. The world will change again. So, Swami Vivekananda is telling, how could it be otherwise? One must first know how to work without attachment. It is not that we can change the world. You cannot change the world. It is just like a dog's curly tail. The change has to happen within us. We have to change. The world will never change. We have to change. One must first know how to work without attachment. Then one will not be a fanatic. How are we fanatic? Yes, we want to change the world. I will do this, I will do that. That person is not right. I will change him, I will punish him. So we get angry, we will be in a hurry to do all those things, we will trouble, we will disturb the peace of the whole family, and this thing, we want to change everything. But we will not change ourselves. We don't want to change ourselves. We will maintain all the wrong things, all the fault in us, but we want to change the whole world. So Swami Vivekananda is telling, we have to change ourselves first. Then the world will automatically change. If I give up all those things, so Swamiji gives for that person the name of a fanatic. When we know that, so who is a fanatic? Who is attached to this world? He wants to change this world. So you have to learn how to work without attachment. Then one will not be a fanatic. When we know that this world is like a dog's curly tail and will never get straightened, we shall not become fanatics then. It's highly impossible. You cannot change the world. So then we will not become fanatics. If there were no fanaticism in the world, it would make much more progress than it does now. It is a mistake to think that fanaticism can make for the progress of the mankind. On the contrary, it is retarding element. That fanaticism is a retarding element, creating hatred and anger and causing people to fight each other and making them unsympathetic. We think that whatever we do or possess is the best in the world, and what we do or possess is of no value. So always remember the instance of the curly tail of the dog. Whenever you have a tendency to become fanatic, when you want to change the whole world, you get angry, you get irritated, you fight, you trouble others, you torture others, you get angry, so many other things. So then Swami Vivekananda is telling, always remember, you are trying to straighten the curly dog's tail. It cannot happen. So if you remember that again and again, then you will give up your fanaticism, your anger, your irritation, and you become calm and quiet. You need not worry or make yourself sleepless about the world. It will go without you. It will go very well maybe without you. Even without you, the world can go very well. You may be causing some problems there. So when you have avoided fanaticism, then alone will you work well. Now, hear the words of Swami Vivekananda. It is very, very important. It is the level-headed man, the calm man of good judgment and cool nerves, of great sympathy and love, who does good work and so does good to himself and to the world. The fanatic is foolish and has no sympathy. He can never straighten the world nor himself become pure. So that's why a disturbed man who identifies with the senses and disturbs with the ups and downs, with the heat and cold and the pain and the pleasure. So Swami Vivekananda is telling that such a fool, he can never straighten the world nor himself become pure. On the contrary, the calmer we are, the less disturbed our nerves, the more shall we love and the better will be our work. Even the work we do, we can achieve great work if the calmer we are, the less disturbed our nerves, the more shall we love and the better will be our work. Again, Swami Vivekananda's wonderful saying, what is that? It is the level-headed man who has this titiksha. What is that Krishna is telling here? Yam hina vyatayante, who is not disturbed by the dualities, the adversities of this world, who is not disturbed by pain and pleasure, equanimous, equipoised. Only such a person So that's what Swami Vivekananda is telling, the same thing. It is a level-headed man, the calm man of good judgment and cool nerves, of great sympathy and love, who does good work and does good to himself. The fanatic is foolish. The person who is disturbed by the senses becomes irritated, angry and other things. Hurry, burry, everything, busy. So he will never straighten the world, nor himself become pure. And there will be no equanimity, he will not become fit for immortality. And further, the calmer we are, the less disturbed our nerves, the more shall we love, and the better will be our work. The quality of work will improve. Then you can really do good to the world. So, calm, equanimity, that is whatever Krishna is told. Swami Vivekananda has brought us to the same thing in a different perspective. Wonderful way. So now going forward, we will see what Swami Vivekananda has to tell about the same thing, the same subject in a different way. We'll come to that. Before coming to that, we will go a little deeper into the subject, that is the verse. What is it telling? What is the Lord Krishna trying to tell us here in this? We need titiksha. Krishna says this faculty of endurance, of inner strength, which is called titiksha, is very, very important. It is mental endurance. Not to react immediately, not to get irritated immediately, not to punish the other person immediately. Because when the endurance is very less, we get irritated very quickly, and the irritation alone becomes anger. Anger alone becomes himsa, violence. So ultimately, lack of endurance alone is the cause of all the problems, all the miseries. So, Krishna is stressing here patience, equanimity, endurance. So, we will go still further and see what Sri Krishna is trying to tell in this verse. What is the secret he is giving, how to become calm and quiet and how to overcome death. Therefore, Krishna says titiksha is an important virtue. And he says without titiksha, atma-jnana or immortality, knowing God, realization of God will not come. In fact, even for atma-jnanam, lot of patience is required. He wants, but what do we want? We don't have patience at all. We want all crash courses. We are popular now, everywhere crash courses. So quickly, just go for 1 month class or 1 week class and you will get some certificate. So everything you want in instant. Everything instant. So like that we want even Atma-jnana or God realization in an instant. Give some dollars, go to some guru, and within 1 week or some 2 days, he will give you samadhi. He will give you the highest meditation. Everything he can give you. So we all want that instant meditation, instant samadhi. So we don't have patience. So instead of coming to the yoga classes or Gita classes and learning, having patience, slowly and gradually, we tell to the person, "Oh Guruji, we will come to you. We will give you how much ever money you want. You can charge in dollars, but we want to get all that knowledge immediately. You just open our brain, you open our head and put in the Atma-jnanam or this endurance, the patience into our head. So it should be done immediately. We don't want all this. We don't want to waste our time. We want everything instant. So can it happen? No. Krishna is telling, no, you need patience, endurance. Without patience, without endurance, you cannot attain this Atma-jnanam or God realization. You should develop that endurance, that strength of the mind. Do you know, in olden days, in the Gurukula, we have to go study under the Guru. The first thing is, before education, they used to make you do lot of hard work, physical work. You have to look after the cows and you have to clean the ashram. All these works would have to be done very diligently. Now, one of the famous Rishi, Jabala Satyakama, when he came to the Gurukula, first he was asked to go and look after the cows. He gave some cows and told that the Guru told, you should make their number, take to the forest, make their numbers into 1,000, and after it becomes the 1,000 number, then you have to come back. Then I will give you Atma Gnana. So they would teach them patience. In the Gurukula, when you have to do that, the Gurus in olden days, in the education system, first they used to teach them patience. They used to remove their anger. They have to become strong in mind. So when you can't, when you don't have that, they will run away. They will not do that work. So the Guru will come to know they are not fit for Atma Gnana. So no patience. So they cannot continue with the work. So they have to do a lot of work in the Gurukula. So if you really deserve it, then you will do, then you will come back to the Guru, then Guru will give you the knowledge. That was what? You have to cut the firewood, you have to look after, tend the cows, to do all the work. Then the Guru will tell, I will give you Gnana, knowledge. If the student doesn't have the patience, he doesn't want to have that, he will run away, he will walk out. Who will be the loser? The person who doesn't have patience, doesn't have endurance, strength of mind, he will be the loser. So therefore, deep study requires, or God realization requires certain mental makeup. Therefore, Krishna is telling here, Samadhukka Sukham, one who is calm and tranquil, even in the adverse situation as well as in the happy situation. He doesn't get disturbed. He alone is fit for knowledge. Yam hina vyatayante te purusham purusharshava samadhukka sukham dhiram sa amrutatvaya kalpate. So amrutatvaya kalpate. Now we shall again go back how Swami Vivekananda will take us into that equanimity of mind. What are we going to get? What are the things by which we can? How can we get that? What can be done? Swami Vivekananda tells, resign everything unto God. In this tremendous fiery furnace, this world is considered to be like a furnace, Swami Vivekananda is telling. We are all simply working out the Lord's will, His will, and having nothing to do with rewards and punishments. If you want reward, and you must also have the punishment. We are seeking rewards from God, isn't it? For all the little work we want rewards. We want the fruits of action. We are attached to the fruit of action. That is called attachment. So, Swami Vivekananda is telling, if you want reward, you must have the punishment too. The only way to get out of the punishment is to give up the reward. The only way of getting out of misery is by giving up the idea of happiness, because these two are linked to each other. On one side there is happiness and the other side is misery. On one side there is life and the other side is death. The only way to get beyond death is to give up the love of life. How wonderfully, how logically Swami Vivekananda is taking step by step. What is that? What is he telling? The only way of getting out of misery is by giving up the idea of happiness, because these are linked together, linked to each other. On one side there is happiness and the other side is misery. So likewise, on one side is the life and the other side is death. So the only way to get beyond death is to give up the love of life. Life and death are the same thing. Looked at from different points. So the idea of happiness without misery or of life without death is very good for schoolboys. Yeah, why? See, on the birthdays, especially in the Western countries, they are taught to cut the cake and put off the candles, lamp. But in India, on the day of birth, we are supposed to go to the temple, do some pujas, vratas, archana in the name of the Lord, light lamp. So we have to light the lamp. But here you have to put off the lamp. So you can see when the candle is lit, what is the life of a candle? It is burning. It is burning itself. So each time you tell the candle is living, it's lighted, that means the candle is dying. Each time the candle is lit and it is burning, it is dying. It is going towards its death end. Likewise, what is the meaning of my birth and my birthday? So, my year of this thing has gone towards my death. 1 year is less. I am approaching towards death. So, my living means I am rushing towards death. So, life is always associated with death. Just I gave you the example of the candle. Like that, if the candle is living, means that it is dying. If I am living, means I am going towards death. So, the idea of life comes with death. Life and death are the same thing, looked at from different points. So, the idea of happiness without misery, or the idea of life without death, Swami Vivekananda is telling, the idea of life without death is very, very good for school children, boys and children, but the person who wants to attain higher goals, thinker, sees that it is all contradiction in terms and gives up both. Seek no praise, no reward for anything you do. No sooner do you perform a good action than we begin to desire credit for it. No sooner we give money to some charity than we want to see our names blazoned in the papers. I have seen in some of the temples in India, what do? They will donate a tube light to the temple. And they are so much desirous after putting their name. They will put the name of the father, mother, son, daughter, everybody's, the family member's name on tube light. They will write it on that and give the tube light there. There is no space for the light to come out at all. They want to put their name on the tube light too. They will give one tile inside the temple, and the tile they will put all the names, their names. Such and such, this family, such and such person, everybody's name. The tile itself is full of their names. So they want name, they want reward. So then if you want reward, then you will get punishment too. So they are contradictory in terms. So seek no praise, no reward for anything you do. Vivekananda is telling, no sooner do we perform a good action than we begin to desire credit for it. No sooner do we give little money for charity than we want to see our names blazoned in the papers, newspapers and TV. Misery must come as a result of such desires. Misery will come to you, pain will come to you for such desires. The greatest men in the world have passed away unknown. Wonderful, another shocking statement Swami Vivekananda makes. What is that? The Buddhas and the Christs that we know are but second-rate heroes in comparison with the greatest Buddhas and Christ, men of whom the world knows nothing. Hundreds of these unknown heroes have lived in every country working silently. Silently they live and silently they go away. And in time their thoughts find expression in Buddhas and Christs. It is these latter that their thoughts find expression in Buddhas and Christ, and it is these latter that become known to us. They become popular. The higher men do not seek to get any name, fame for themselves for their knowledge. They leave their ideas to the world. They put forth no claims for themselves, no copyright. Do not establish any schools or systems or any sects in their names. Their whole nature shrinks from such a thing. They are the pure sattvikas who can never make any stir but only melt down in love. I have seen such one yogi in the Himalayas, in the northern India, who live in a cave in India. He is one of the most wonderful men I have ever seen. Swami Vivekananda is telling, he has so completely lost the sense of his own individuality that we may say that that man in him is completely gone. I can assume who Swami Vivekananda is trying to tell. It is Pavahari Baba. He would not take much food. People thought that he was living on only air, just inhaling air. That's why Pava Hari. Pava means air. Hari means one who takes. Ahara. So one who lived on only inhaling air, no food. So that's why he got the name Pavahari Baba. He was a great devotee of Ramachandra. He was a Ramayata sadhu. So Swami Vivekananda had gone to learn yoga from him. So he's mentioning about him, his greatness. So he lived in a cave. He was one of the most wonderful men I have seen. He has so completely lost the sense of his own individuality that we may say that that man in him is completely gone, leaving behind only the all-comprehending sense of divine. Now, one snake bit him, poisonous cobra. Swami Vivekananda himself tells when that snake bit him, what did this? Because while going as an itinerant monk in India, he met this great sadhu. So what is Swami Vivekananda is telling about him? So, if an animal bites one of his arm, he is ready to give it his other arm also and say that it is the Lord's will. Everything that comes to him is from the Lord. He does not show himself to men, and yet he is a magazine of love and of true and sweet ideas. Next in order comes the men with more rajas or activity, combative natures, and take up the idea of the perfect ones and preach them to the world. The highest kind of men silently collect true and noble ideas and others. The Buddhas and Christ go from place to place preaching them and working for them. In the life of Gautama Buddha, we notice him constantly saying that he is the 25th Buddha. Gautama Buddha, the Lord Buddha, is proclaiming that he is the 25th Buddha. The 24 before him are unknown to history. So they never preached, they gave out ideas, they gave out love, they meditated, that's all. They thought good thoughts to the humanity. They are not known at all. Although the Buddha known to the history must have built upon foundation laid by them. The highest men are calm. The highest men are calm, silent and unknown. That's what Krishna is telling in this stotra. The highest men are calm, equanimity, equipoised, not disturbed by anything. Calm. The highest men are calm, silent and unknown. They are the men who really know the power of thought. They are sure that even if they go into a cave and close the door and simply think 5 true thoughts and then pass away, these 5 thoughts of theirs will live through eternity. Indeed, such thoughts will penetrate through the mountains, cross the oceans, and travel through the world. They will enter deep into human hearts and brains and raise up men and women who will give them practical expression in the working of human lives. These Sattvika men are too near to the Lord to be active and to fight, to be working, struggling, preaching and doing good, as they say, here on earth to humanity. The active workers, however good, have still a little remnant of ignorance left in them. When our nature has yet some impurities left in it, then alone we can work. It is in the nature of work to be impelled ordinarily by motive and by attachment. In the presence of an ever-active providence, whose notes even the sparrows fall, how can man attach any importance to his own work? Will it not be blasphemy to do so when we know in awe and reverence before him, saying, Thy will be done? The highest men cannot work, for in them there is no attachment. Those whose soul is gone into the self, that's what Krishna is telling. Atmanyeva atmana tushtaha sitapragnastadochyate. Now the same thing Swami Vivekananda is bringing. Those who have identified themselves with the knowledge of the self, those whose soul is gone into the self, those whose desires are confined in the self. Atmanyeva atmana tushtaha sitapragnastadochyate. So they have removed the desire from within. That's what in the shloka Krishna tells in Sitapragna Lakshana. So these are the men, the highest men. Swami Vivekananda is telling, whose desires are confined in the self, who have become ever associated with the self. For them there is no work. Such are indeed the highest of mankind, but apart from them, everyone else has to work. In so working, we should never think that we can help or even the least thing in the universe. We cannot. We only help ourselves. When we work, when we do the Karma Yoga, we are helping only ourselves in this gymnasium of world. This is the proper attitude of work. If we work in this way, if we always remember that our present opportunity to work thus is a privilege which has been given to us, we shall never be attached to anything. So Vivekananda is also taking us through the same thing what Krishna told, the equanimous mind, enduring. It's not disturbed by the dualities of the world. So he can give his mind to think of, he'll be fit to know about self and cross into immortality, overcome death. I think now we have studied this wonderful verse in different ways. We'll continue with the study of the same verse in our next class and go to the 16th verse also in the next class. Until then, we will end our discussion of the class with a prayer and the meditation of the Bhagavad Gita. Before that, I want to tell you that tomorrow morning, that is Sunday, early morning at 6:30, we have the discussion on the Ramakrishna, the Great Master, the life of Sri Ramakrishna. Indian time it is, South African time it is 6:30 to 8. In Indian time it is 10 o'clock in the morning. Then Monday also we have the same class, Ramakrishna, the Great Master in the morning. And in the evening we have the science of worship, significance of puja and worship and other things. Then Tuesday we have evening Vivek Chudamani, 6 o'clock in the evening. Then Wednesday again we have Bhagavad Gita class at 6 o'clock. Thursday, Friday morning we have the Great Master Ramakrishna study. All are welcome to that. Namaskars to all of you. Om Mukam Karoti Vachalam Panghum Langhayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Paramanandamadhavam. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.